So welcome, folks. This is, I guess, the maiden voyage of our seminar, maybe. I guess info session is probably best. So welcome to those guys that decide to kind of watch us. We want to talk about the first-time buyer and what challenges they're having getting in this market right now. And my name is Jazz. I'm a realtor with Justo. And a friend of mine, Jake here, he's a mortgage broker, and I figured he would be a great person to have with us and chat about the challenges of first-time buyers. So before we begin, Jake, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mortgage Jake, also known as Jake. This is my 19th year now being a broker. I love it. It's honestly the best job in the world. I love the Raptors. I'm married. My 9-year-old loves to bother me when he's being homeschooled upstairs. Well, not homeschooled, but virtual schooling. And you know what? I'm not an investor per se, but I do own investment properties. And I believe you buy what you know. And I know bricks and mortar. I know real estate. I love talking about real estate. And I have seen literally hundreds of families just grow their net worth because of patience and time, correct planning. And I love being a part of it. So this is who I am, and I really appreciate being in front of all of you guys. So
thank you. Yeah, I call him MJ. MJ as the GOAT, as big NBA fans out there. So, but yeah, I mean, the purpose of this info session is to talk about the first-time home buyer and the difficulties they have of potentially getting in the market. And for me, actually, it's funny. Every time we get a person that calls us and says, "Hey, I'm a first-time buyer. I'm interested in buying a home." And my first question to them: have you been pre-qualified? Right? I think the most common mistakes, I guess, a lot of first buyers do is they call an agent, which is great. But a lot of the times I would refer them to a mortgage broker, right? Just so they can because we need to know how much runway we have to see how much we can afford, right? And I think that's one of the most common, errors, I guess, when it comes to first-time buyers. What do you think?
Yeah, people need to understand what the reality is based on their situation. And it literally takes 10 minutes. Like when I talk to clients every day, I tell them, if you have less than 20% down, you can borrow 4.5 times your income. 20% down or more, 5.5 times your income. If people are reluctant to share their information with me, then to me, they're just not serious in buying or knowing more. If it takes you 10 minutes to figure this out, you always want to start with a broker. You always want to figure out what can you afford and what can you qualify for. And those two things are different. I can tell you what you can qualify for. And almost always someone says to me, yeah, I don't want to go that high. I want to go lower. The odd time someone will say, I need to qualify for more. How do I do it? How do I get around the stress test? That's definitely one mistake. But I'll tell you guys, another mistake that people make is they assume credit is, my credit's fine. My credit's great. And they always worry if I check your credit. Me checking your credit absolutely will not have any impact on your credit. You know what's going to have impact on your credit? If you're over 50% the limit on all your cards, if you're late on your payments, if you don't pay, if you take out an $800 a month car lease, that's going to impact your mortgageability by close to $150,000. Don't worry about your credit score. Worry about your credit report. The report is very, very important. And that's what we need to see in order to really give you a pre-approval. The other mistake that I think people do is they go on these online apps, they go on bank 60 seconds to pre-qualify, and they go, look, I'm pre-approved. No, you're not. All you are is you've run some numbers on an application, but it's not going to give you the full in-depth pre-approval that I would or a broker would in 10 minutes. So take that 10 to 15 minutes, have that conversation, figure out your income, be straight with your broker and your banker, and then go back to Jazz and say, okay, Jazz, I spoke to Jake. I know I can get $650,000. I know my closing costs. I know my payments. I'm ready to go. And then over to you, Jazz. Then it's up to you guys to find that place.
Yeah, and you're bang on. I mean, a lot of the clients that call me and they say they're first-time buyers. That's what I do. I said, listen, just have a chat with your mortgage broker. Another common mistake that they do is a lot of them, let's say they've been banking with someone for 20 years, right? And then the first person they said, hey, let me go to TD, let me go to Royal Bank and see what they're offering me. I mean, yes, they might give you great rates, but that's where I think a broker really makes a difference because you work with a number of banks, I believe, right?
Brokers are independent. We work with almost every lending institution. There is a couple that we don't work with, but I agree. I understand why people are loyal to their bank. They feel that the money is secure. Okay, fine. But I can literally tell you guys 100 stories right now of people that have done that. And they said, I'm going to go to my bank. No problem. They've come back to me and said, my bank took forever. My bank screwed up. My bank didn't understand my income. My bank told me I can go firm. I have done this many times. I was told I can go firm, and now I'm in a bind. So listen, if you've come to a broker as a second opinion, great. As a first opinion, great. I know that people shop around. It's natural part of the world. However, you have to build a trusting relationship with someone. You have to know that they know what they're talking about. If that person at the bank sells mutual funds, RSPs, mortgages, lines of credit, and opens accounts, they're not a master of one thing. You want to master your mortgage, frankly, because this is your biggest investment in the world. And rates we're as competitive, if not more competitive on rate. Rate is important, but the fine print on your contract is equally super important.
Nice. And you know what? That's the other thing. The biggest challenge for home buyers is getting in the market right now. It's just absolutely crazy. Everything is it's really, really expensive to get in. You really need to dive into probably mom and pop bank just to kind of get into to a home. Yeah. The most common, I don't want to say mistake. It's mostly, people get, when you're a first-time buyer, they're expecting the best house, that they'll ever find, right? And it's hard right now to be picky. It's very hard to be picky. Yeah. When the market's a little bit, in the slow side, yes, you can be picky. I always tell my clients, let's get in the elevator. Let's just get in the elevator. Right. You don't want to be stuck in the stairs while everything is accelerating, right? And your first home, most of the time, it's not going to be your forever home. You're probably going to move within 5 years, right? And getting in the elevator is so this is how I process it. Like when I have a first-time buyer, they come through, I always say the first day we're going to be picky. Let's just see exactly what we're looking for. We'll take them out. We'll show them exactly what's out there and what these go for. And then eventually they're going to be surprised. They're going to say, oh my God, the prices are crazy, right? So then we got to damper our expectations a little bit. And that's when I said, you know what, let's get in the market, get in the elevator. And then in a few years when, you've built a little bit of equity, that's when you can be more picky, right? Because you don't want to be left behind, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And to that point, there's a lot of times I have conversations with people and I go, hey, what do you do? How much do you make? What do you want to buy? And they say to me, oh, I will not spend more than this dollar amount, $600,000. That's my maximum dollar. Okay. Why is $600,000 the maximum? Because let's look at the cash flow. If you can afford a $650,000 place, I'm not trying to get you to borrow more money if you're not comfortable with it. But I want you to realize $50,000 is roughly $180 more a month in monthly payment to get that extra kitchen, the extra bathroom, the extra space that you may need, and to maybe get a little bit higher on that ladder. The other thing that people always, I find, make, like you said, not mistakes, but they learn from these mistakes, is the first time they fall in love with the place, like, you know what, I just want to see what happens in an offer. No, if you love the place, believe me, 6 months later, you're going to be talking about that place that you missed out on because you weren't willing to go for it. People think, well, opportunity cost, what else will I get for this money? If you're serious about getting into the market, as tight as the market is, then you're serious. Then get in and make those offers and make them firm and make them strong. Otherwise, you will regret it. And I've seen many people regret long-term down the road not having bought that property that they should have bought.
Yeah, and the one thing that I hate doing, unfortunately, where we are right now, is bidding wars. We're getting in a lot of bidding wars, and first-time buyers are very cautious, and they say, "Hey, what if my financing doesn't go through? What if my the inspection doesn't go as planned?" Right? Yeah. And I hate going firm. It's just it's not. It comes with an element of risk. But that's where, sometimes we have to do pre-inspections, right, before you purchase a house. And sometimes talking to a mortgage broker that has the ability to say, hey, you know what, you can go firm at this price, right? That's the confidence you need from getting a mortgage broker as well. So
there are two schools of thought here. And myself and my colleagues, we We go like this all the time about it. Your bank is almost for sure not going to tell you you can go firm, because a bank will not stick out their necks on the line with that deposit being on the line, because frankly, that deposit is on the line. Why I choose to tell my clients that they can go firm is because I believe in the new school of finance. I believe this is the reality that we're in. And if I tell you to go conditional, you'll do one of two things. You'll go conditional 5, 10 times. You'll kill me because you're going to keep losing, because 9 out of 10 people that are at that offer date will not be going conditional. And the second thing you'll do on the 11th time is you're going to go to the next broker and say, hey, he told me I can't go firm. Can I go firm? Now, I don't take going firm lightly, because if you place a 50K, 20K, 10K deposit on offer, and if that deal doesn't go through because I told you you can do it, guess what? You should sue me. You should come after me and say, Jake, you said I can go firm. The way that we mitigate this risk is very simply, Jazz and I work on pre-purchase appraisals. I make sure what the value is. He gives me comps. I talk to appraisers. We work with 3 different mortgage insurance companies. There are so many different ways to make sure we pre-underwrite everything. I check your income up front so that there are no surprises. Your down payment so that you're aware of all your money that you need to close. Going firm is not for the faint of heart. But if I close 350 deals a year and I'd say 80% of those purchases go firm because they have to, well, there's clearly a system involved and a way to do it that I tell you should. Now, if you're making an offer and there's no other offers, always go conditional. Jazz, I think you'll agree. Go conditional. You have that right for 5 days to get your mortgage approval. But if you need to be in competition, we can make it happen, and we do it time and time again.
And, in the end of the day, I mean, that's what it comes down to. A seller, when they see multiple offers and you do have a conditional on those offers, they're going to be like, I will take less to go with the firm one because I don't have to wait. There's no risk for me.
Yeah, here, the money's coming.
It's coming, exactly. So it's unfortunate, but that's where we are right now. But if you do, and that's why, with Justo and Mortgage Jake here, we have that confidence. I have a client right now that I'm working with, and I called Mortgage Jake and I said, hey, can we go firm, right? And if Mortgage Jake tells me yes, he can go firm, I'm pretty confident that we can make that work as well. So definitely lots of confidence there. Now let's talk about the first-time home buyer incentive. There's an incentive out there that the CMHC proposed. I believe they increased it this year to make it a little bit more realistic, I guess, right?
More palpable to the market. So the current iteration of the first-time buyer incentive limits you to a purchase price of $505,000 and limits you, more importantly, to 4 times your income. But your income cannot exceed $120,000. So if you make $121,000, you don't participate. If your loan amount is greater than 4 times 120, you can't participate. And if your purchase price is greater than 505, you're out. The new program limits that to now $722,000 and 4.5 times an income of $150,000. The only problem is it's only for 416. It's for Toronto. The reason that's a problem is it's really hard still to find a property in the 722K range. Jazz, I'm sure you'll agree that it is possible. I mean, we see condos 500, 600, 650, 720s in that range. A house will be almost next to nearly impossible in 416. But CMHC has announced this program. They just haven't rolled it out yet. So hopefully by the time they roll it out, they'll say it's for the greater Toronto area, which will mean the 905 surrounding, because that's where people drive to qualify. And that's where they will find these properties at that price. Now, the way the program works is very simple. You put in 5%, they will give you another 5%, and the CMHC is investing with you. What they're doing is they're saying, hey, we'll bring your down payment. We'll bring in half your down payment. We'll give you 5. You got 5. You're really putting down 10. You're paying less than CMHC fee. But when you sell your property, we want our 5% back plus a percentage of the gain in the value, or 5% minus a percentage in the loss of the value. The only way you can give that money back is by refinancing or selling your place, or you have the cash. So 10 years later, you call CMHC, you go, hey, I bought this place for $600. It's now worth $800. It's gone up $200K in value. I owe you 5% or 30 grand plus the percentage gain. Here you go. Your debt with CMHC is cleared. The program was rolled out last year. It was supposed to have $1.25 billion allotted. It used up 4% of that budget. It's not very popular because it was so limiting. Hopefully now the second go around will be a lot more popular. It also applies to people who want to buy pre-construction. If you have 10% down on pre-con, you can get another 5% allotted from CMHC. Now you can have 15%. What it doesn't apply for is people who have 15% and they go, well, I'll just get 20 and I'll save CMHC fees. Well, no, because CMHC needs to make the money on the back end with that premium you're paying. So if you got 15 down, it's not going to apply to you. If you got 10 down and you want to buy pre-con, it'll apply. If you got 5 down, you're a first-time buyer. And that's in the final thing. You have to be a true first-time buyer. Jazz, you know that CRA calls you a first-time buyer. You can be a first-time buyer twice. Land transfer tax calls you a first-time buyer only once. Well, CMHC calls you a first-time buyer, a true first-time buyer. You've never, ever owned a property in your life. With CRA, you could have been a first-time buyer twice if you sold a place, waited 4 years and bought a place, which is kind of weird. You can only do things once, first time. But let's put that aside. Let's just say the CMHC program is limiting because they want to encourage buyers who have never purchased. They don't want people to speculate and all this. They want people who want to get into the market. I don't think the program will be super successful because a lot of people say, well, I don't want to co-invest. But if that difference will mean getting a 650 to a 720 place and it means more property for you, let's jump in. Let's figure out the solution and see if it works for you.
And again, get in the elevator, right? That's what we're trying to get in.
Right.
And you know what? You brought up pre-construction, and one of the most common thing with first-time buyers is they're afraid to compete, right? They're afraid to go firm. That's sometimes where I convert them to go pre-construction. I say, listen, pre-construction, you're not competing with anyone. Yes, you're purchasing the future value of the property. You don't have to get a mortgage today. You don't have to pay that mortgage today. You need a pre-approval or a mortgage commitment to get there. And it gives you time to save as well, right? And this first-time home buyer incentive, I mean, I see the value on it because it will help you get in the market, especially with that down payment. But let's talk about closing costs, because that's another thing that first-time buyers are afraid of. They're like, okay, there's a purchase price, but then there's closing costs associated. What's your kind of take with closing costs and what to expect?
Yeah, so closing costs cannot be borrowed. You have to have the money down. There are some banks and lenders that will let you finance a closing cost only if borrowing it will not affect your borrowing ratio. What's a ratio? A ratio is what percentage of your income can go towards paying your mortgage, and it cannot exceed a certain percentage threshold. So if you're a first-time buyer and you're at the absolute limit and you need $5,000 to close a deal and you don't have it, well, we need you to get it from a gift or other source. It can't be from a line of credit, etc. A closing cost usually is between 1.5% to 3% of the purchase price, in that range. As you go further and further up the property scale, and we're talking $1 million plus, that number will go up higher. A first-time buyer will get an on-the-spot rebate of $4,000 from Ontario and $4,000 from Toronto. Any dollar amount under $400,000 on a purchase price. Over $400,000, you are now starting to pay a smaller amount of closing costs, and then that number grows as you go higher above $400K. You do not have to bring that $8,000 to your lawyer and then get it back. It's automatically rebated, which is great. Remember the days where we'd have to mail in a rebate and get money back from a retailer or something? It no longer happens that way, which is great. So if you have 5% down, you should estimate another 1.5% to 3% closing, depending on how high you're going in the purchase price. And then, of course, there are sometimes appraisal fees, which most banks should cover. There's your lawyer cost, which is around $1,500 to $3,000. There could be a property tax credit you got to pay where the seller has prepaid taxes. You got to pay them back. There's moving expenses, which are not fixed closing costs that the lender needs to see, but you got to be aware of this stuff. I mean, you want to move in, have the place ready, but ultimately you just have to have those monies saved on top of your down payment. And this is a good reason why you may want to consider pre-construction, Jazz, is because if you've got only 5% now, you put that as a deposit, 180 days later, put another 5%, you can accumulate the closing cost as you go. If you're buying resale, that money is due on day of closing.
Awesome. Yeah. So, you know what? Now I just want to kind of, I don't want to talk about myself, and I'm sure you don't want to talk about yourself. So what I'll do is I'll tell people why they should hire a mortgage broker. And then you tell me why people should hire an agent, right? So I'll begin. Like a mortgage broker, I mean, for me, I bought my first house at 18 years old, and I walked into RBC, I remember, and I said, "Hey, I'm looking for a mortgage." And at that time, I think the rates were around 6%. So I said, "Oh yeah, this is great. This is fantastic. So let's go shopping." And then my realtor at that time told me, "Hey, shop around. You have RBC, shop around." So I shopped around. I found a mortgage broker, and rates were a lot better. Service was a lot better. And I find I always had someone that I can talk to. The bank, you're a number. You're a number, right? With a mortgage broker, at least most mortgage brokers will know who you are, what you qualify for, and you just have that comfort level when using a mortgage broker. So all my clients that I talk to, even if they've been pre-approved by a bank, I say, "Hey, get a second opinion. It's not going to cost you anything. Go talk to a broker. If he beats your rates, awesome." Because like you said, it's not always about the rates. It's about the contract itself. Have someone do the due diligence to kind of go through that. And if he beats it, great. If not, at least you have the best rate, right?
That's right. Yeah. Listen, you'd be a great ad for me now. I'll tell you guys why I always work with a buying realtor. So believe me, I've talked to thousands of people, and a lot of my clients are like, "I'm going to go straight to the listing agent." So I want you to put yourself in the position of being a seller. So you're a seller, you want to get top dollar for your house, and you meet an agent, and the agent comes and goes, "I'll get you this number." Well, if I'm a buyer and I go to that selling agent, who is that selling agent representing? Usually the seller. They want to say, "I want to get the highest price." But if you find someone that's a buying agent and you work with that buyer, with Jazz, you walk around, you go place to place, Jazz is going to show you everything. Jazz is committed to you. Jazz wants you to get the best price possible. That may mean paying as much as you need to pay to get in a bidding war, but who's going to watch out for the property and check out the maintenance on it, the street, the geography, the neighborhood, everything else? And who pays that person? It's the seller that pays them, not the buyer. You're not paying anything because the seller has already agreed to paying a certain commission of which the buyer gets paid. And I know Justo is a very unique brokerage, right, Jazz? And you'll speak to this, in that they share these commissions, which is amazing. But the fact is, besides that, you want someone who knows the market, who works on your behalf, who you can call and say, "Hey, should we put an offer in? No, why not? What do you think?" And a selling agent's not going to give that to you, but a buying agent will. And a buying agent, I'll be blunt, you don't get paid until that buying agent closes that deal. And that buying agent has a lot of work to do, hustle, and make sure that that deal is the right deal for you. So I will never go to a selling agent. I will never buy a place privately. I love working with buyer agents because I know how hard they work. And to me, they just add a tremendous amount of value and knowledge. And that's why you should hire a realtor. And that's it. That's my it's my belief.
Well, hey, you know what? I promoted you well. You promoted us well. So, hey, look at that. That's perfect. So, you know what? I don't want to take much more of your time. How can people reach you? Let us know. Go fire away.
Yeah. So listen, guys, if you need to know anything about mortgages, just Google the term Mortgage Jake. You'll find my website. I got a chat feature there. You'll find me on Twitter arguing with the head of CMHC who says that prices will fall by 9 to 18%. Yeah, right. You'll find me on Instagram, Mortgage by Jake. But just remember Mortgage Jake. I'm around. I'm always available. I really love what I do. And frankly, I'll be more than happy to talk to anybody. My wife always jokes. She says, you can be 80 or you can be 2. Okay, you can be an insect and he will talk to you. And I truly will, because I believe that there's too much misinformation. I don't want to call it fake news, but too much misinformation about the mortgage world and the process. And it's made to seem too complex by so many of my competitors that I just want to make it easy, understandable. I want everyone to know everything they possibly can. And if they find value working with me, tremendous. I appreciate it tremendously. So Mortgage Jake, that's me. Find me anywhere on social media or on Google, and you'll know how to hit me up.
Awesome. And you know what? Before, you brought up that CMHC and what they said, I just wanted to add, that's the reason why prices went up, by the way, because they freaked out the market and told people wait, prices will go down, and people are waiting. And then all of a sudden things exploded. Anyways, that's a discussion for another time. I'm Jazz. I'm with Justo. Just DM us or send us an email. Justo.ca is our website. Again, we're a cashback realty. You will love what we have. And Jake is working with us. So give us a shout if you have any questions, and hope to see you in our next info session, I guess.
Thanks everybody for watching. Stay safe, wash your hands, wear your mask, and let's get over this pandemic and into the new world.
The Raptor game. We got to go Raptor game. That's what I miss the most. That's what I miss the most for sure.
Me too. But I got my ring here. I always have my ring beside me. It's the cheap $20 version. I can't afford the $5,000.
You don't have to tell people that.
It looks good, but they're playing tonight. Let's go Raptors.
There we go. All right, Jake. Have a good day, okay?
Thanks, Jazz. Thanks a lot, everybody, for having me.
Take care. See you guys.